Deep within a forgotten land shrouded in mist and mystery, lay the Whisperwood. Ancient trees, gnarled and wise, stood sentinel. Sunlight dripped, emerald and gold, onto the forest floor. Legends whispered of the wood's magic. Some spoke of wondrous creatures, others of a darkness sleeping within. At the forest's edge stood Alara. Young, with eyes like the summer sky, she felt the forest call. Her grandmother, wrinkled as a walnut, had warned her away. "The Whisperwood holds secrets, child," she'd croaked, "best left undisturbed." But Alara couldn't resist. Her village, nestled by the forest, was dying. The river, their lifeblood, had run dry. Elders spoke of a spring hidden deep within the Whisperwood. A spring touched by magic capable of healing the land. Desperation gnawed at Alara. It was a fool's hope, a whisper in the wind. Yet, it was their only hope. With a deep breath she stepped into the Whisperwood. Each rustle of leaves, each snapping twig sent shivers down her spine. The forest held its breath, watching her. The path, barely discernible, wound deeper into the forest. The air grew heavy, laden with the scent of pine and damp earth. The sun, a pale ghost behind the dense canopy, began to set. Alara pressed on, fear a knot in her stomach. She hadn't seen a living creature since entering the woods. It was as if the forest itself were holding its breath. As twilight painted the trees in hues of purple and gray, she stumbled upon a clearing. Ruined cottages, reclaimed by vines and moss, stood like silent mourners. This was once a village swallowed by the forest. A chill ran down Alara's spine. The silence here was different, heavy, oppressive. It whispered of forgotten things, of lives lived and lost. A glint of metal caught her eye. Approaching cautiously, she saw a well, its once ornate stonework crumbling. Etched into the side, almost faded beyond recognition, was a symbol. The same symbol her grandmother wore on a silver chain, a symbol passed down through generations. Her heart pounded. This was no ordinary village, this was the village of her ancestors, lost to time and legend. Night fell, cloaking the Whisperwood in an unsettling darkness. The forest, usually teeming with life, now seemed to hold its breath, as if anticipating something ominous. The moon cast eerie shadows, transforming the familiar into the unknown. Alara, huddled by the well, shivered. The cold seeped through her thin cloak, but it was the fear that truly chilled her to the bone. She had ventured into the Whisperwood seeking answers, but now she questioned her decision. The silence was broken only by the rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Each sound seemed amplified in the stillness, making her heart race faster. The forest was alive, but with what, she could not tell. She felt a presence, watching her from the shadows. It was an unsettling feeling, as if unseen eyes were tracking her every move. She scanned the darkness, but saw nothing. Yet the sensation of being watched persisted. Fear threatened to consume her, but she clung to the memory of her village, parched and dying. The drought had taken everything, and she was their last hope. She had to be brave for them. A low growl cut through the night. It was a sound that sent shivers down her spine, primal and menacing. Two emerald eyes, burning bright in the darkness, emerged from the trees. They were unblinking, fixed on her with an intensity that made her blood run cold. A wolf, larger than any she had ever seen, stepped into the clearing. Its size was imposing, its presence commanding. This was no ordinary wolf. Its fur was the color of midnight, its teeth like shards of ice. The moonlight glinted off its coat, giving it an almost ethereal glow. Alara froze, her breath caught in her throat. She had heard tales of the Whisperwood's guardian, but she had never truly believed them, until now. The wolf approached, each step deliberate, its gaze unwavering. It moved with a grace that belied its size, every muscle rippling under its dark fur. Just as she braced herself, expecting the snap of jaws, the wolf stopped. It was so close she could feel its breath, warm and steady. It lowered its head, a low whine escaping its throat. The sound was almost gentle, a stark contrast to its fearsome appearance. It dipped its head towards the well, then back to Alara, its eyes holding an unexpected intelligence. It was as if it was trying to communicate, to tell her something important. This was no ordinary beast, this was something ancient, something protective. The realization dawned on her slowly, but it brought with it a sense of calm. With a trembling hand, Alara reached out, offering the wolf a strip of dried meat from her pack. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she forced herself to stay still. The wolf accepted it. A silent truce formed in the heart of the forest. In that moment, Alara knew she was not alone. The protector of the Whisperwood was with her, and together they would face whatever came next. The wolf, which Alara had taken to calling Shade, became her guide. He was more than just a companion. He was a guardian, a silent protector in the vast, mysterious expanse of the Whisperwood. He led her through hidden paths, his senses keen, his presence a comfort in the unsettling stillness of the Whisperwood. The forest, dense and ancient, seemed to whisper secrets only Shade could understand. The forest seemed to part for him, the creatures within giving him a wide berth. Birds, squirrels, and even the occasional deer watched from a distance, their eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and respect. He led her to a stream, crystal clear, where they drank deeply. The water was cool and refreshing, a brief respite from their journey. Alara felt a sense of renewal with each sip, as if the stream itself was imbued with magic. As the days passed, the forest seemed less menacing. The dense canopy began to thin, allowing more sunlight to filter through, casting dappled patterns on the forest floor. The sunlight, filtering through the leaves, took on a warmer hue. It was as if the forest itself was beginning to welcome them, shedding its initial hostility. Birdsong filled the air, a welcome change from the oppressive silence of before. The melodies were varied and beautiful, each note a testament to the life thriving within the Whisperwood. They arrived at a clearing dominated by a willow tree of immense size. Its presence was almost otherworldly, a stark contrast to the rest of the forest. Its branches, heavy with Spanish moss, drooped to the ground, resembling a waterfall of green. The air around it felt charged, as if the tree held ancient wisdom and power. It shimmered with an otherworldly light. The glow was subtle yet mesmerizing, casting an ethereal aura around the clearing. Shade whined, nudging Alara towards the willow. His eyes, usually so calm, now held a sense of urgency. As she approached, the tree seemed to sigh, its leaves rustling like whispers. The sound was soothing, almost like a lullaby, drawing her closer. An image bloomed in Alara's mind. It was vivid and clear, as if she were seeing through someone else's eyes. A woman, ethereal and beautiful, with eyes like moss after rain. Her presence was calming, yet there was an underlying sadness in her gaze. The spring, the woman's voice echoed in Alara's mind, is guarded. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it carried a weight of importance. You seek to heal, but beware. The path you tread is fraught with peril. Darkness sleeps in beauty's guise. Trust your heart, child. It will be your compass in the shadows. It will guide you true. The woman's words resonated deeply within Alara, filling her with a newfound resolve. The image faded, leaving Alara shaken, but strangely determined. She knew her journey was far from over, but she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. The spring was real, but so was the danger. Alara steeled herself, knowing that the true test of her courage and heart was yet to come. The path to the spring, Shade indicated, led through a ravine shrouded in perpetual twilight. The light barely penetrated the thick canopy above, casting long, eerie shadows that danced with every gust of wind. The atmosphere was thick with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of unseen creatures. The air grew colder, the scent of damp earth replaced by a metallic tang. It was as if the forest itself was exhaling a breath of ancient, forgotten secrets. The mist clung to the trees, wrapping around them like ghostly tendrils, making the path ahead even more treacherous. The forest floor was littered with bones, picked clean and bleached white by the sun. Each step crunched underfoot, a grim reminder of the dangers that lurked in these woods. The bones seemed to tell a story of countless lives lost, a warning to any who dared to venture further. Even Shade seemed uneasy, his movements stiff, his growls low and guttural. His ears were constantly twitching, picking up sounds that Alara couldn't hear. His eyes, usually so calm and steady, darted around nervously, reflecting the tension in the air. The ravine opened into a cavern, its mouth resembling a giant skull. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, as if the earth itself had come alive to warn them of the perils within. The jagged rocks formed a grimace, a silent scream frozen in time. Mist poured from its depths, swirling and dancing in the air. It moved with a life of its own, curling around Alara's legs and rising to meet her face. The mist seemed to whisper secrets, ancient and forgotten, as it enveloped her in its cold embrace. Stalagmites rose like teeth from the ground, jagged and menacing. They seemed to form a natural barrier, daring anyone to proceed further. The cave's interior was a labyrinth of shadows and stone, each turn revealing more of its dark, mysterious beauty. The air hung heavy, thick with the stench of decay and something else, something ancient and powerful. It was as if the very essence of the cave was alive, watching and waiting. The oppressive atmosphere weighed down on Alara, making each breath a struggle. Alara's hand instinctively went to the silver pendant beneath her shirt. The pendant, a gift from her mother, had always been a source of comfort. Now, it seemed to pulse with a warmth that contrasted sharply with the cold air around her. The metal felt warm against her skin, a small beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. It was as if the pendant was trying to communicate with her, to give her strength for the journey ahead. Shade nudged her again, his eyes urging her forward. His silent encouragement was a reminder that she was not entirely alone. His presence, though hesitant, was a source of strength and determination. He would go no further. This was a path she had to walk alone. The realization was both daunting and empowering. She knew that the challenges ahead were hers to face, but she also knew that she carried the hopes and dreams of her people with her. Taking a deep breath, Alara stepped into the cavern. The darkness seemed to close in around her, but she moved forward with purpose. Each step echoed in the silence, a testament to her resolve. The darkness enveloped her like a shroud, wrapping her in its cold embrace. It was a tangible force, pressing in on all sides, but Alara refused to be intimidated. She had come too far to turn back now. Fear, cold and sharp, threatened to overwhelm her. It clawed at her mind, whispering doubts and fears, but she steeled herself, drawing on the inner strength that had brought her this far, but she pushed it down, fueled by the memory of her dying village and the whisper of the willow's warning. The images of her home, once vibrant and full of life, now reduced to shadows, gave her the courage to press on. The fate of her people rested on her shoulders. It was a heavy burden, but one she was willing to bear. With each step, she reminded herself of the lives depending on her, and it gave her the strength to face whatever lay ahead.